on, guys? Got another project going on today. So we got this skid here. The customer wants it cut right in half. I guess it's a little bit too big, so we're going to cut it right in half, and then I actually have to cut these pockets off for the forks, and we'll scoot those out. Well, we'll have to cut them all off, and then they want them 24 inches apart. So I got some tube on order. Should be able to pick it up tomorrow, and then I will go ahead and I think I'm going to try to get this cut tonight, and then we'll worry about the fork pockets tomorrow. Customer wants it back as soon as possible, so we'll see what we can do. We're going to go ahead and get this unloaded now and go from there. Alright, so I think the first thing I'm going to do is grab a zip disc, cut these coupler nuts off because they're right down the center. So I'm going to cut those off, then I'll start laying my line out. My plan is to use the plasma on the top, and I'm thinking about maybe using a zip disc on this tube. Depends on how clean I think I can get it, because once it's split in half I want it to look clean on the edge. So I'm going to get the top cut first. We'll see how it looks down here. If it does kind of a nasty job where it pierces the tube, I might end up just zip discing it. But if I think it'll look okay doing it with the plasma, then I'll go that route. So we're going to go to that point. We'll go ahead and get set up and go from there. This backer plate I'm going to have to trim. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to take this measurement on this corner, I'm going to match it here, and I got to cut these zip ties, pull this rubber pad off, and then I'm just going to cut this with a zip disc. That way I can get my torch through there, and that'll complete the top cut. So we'll go to that point. Okay, so I'm just splitting 7/16 and a half. That's dead center of my cut.
It's time for today's super cool tool.
Alright guys, so for today's super cool tool, we're going to be talking about the plasma cutter. This is something that saves me a heck of a lot of time. So let's go over some of the benefits of having a plasma. So with a plasma, you're not burning oxygen and acetylene. You do have to have enough compressed air that you can run it and you don't have to sit and wait for your air to build. In our case, we do have a 60-gallon compressor, so that helps. This tool right here has more options than I think a lot of people realize and even utilize. So it has obviously just your cutting setting, and then it also has a gouge setting. And there's a lot of people out there that typically don't use gouge on a plasma. I'm not sure why. I actually have been a fabricator for 15 years, and the last place that I worked, I don't think I ever gouged once with a plasma. And then I bought my own, and I thought, you know what, I'm just going to try it. And honestly, I love it. It's quick, it's clean, and you get to the point, once you do it enough, you get good at it, and you can learn where that fine line is so that you can just peel it right off, just like you can with a scarf and tip. I feel like I'm pretty efficient with a scarf and tip on a torch, but it takes a lot longer, and it's more expensive because, again, you're burning oxygen and acetylene. So it's kind of nice to be able to do that with this, where all you're using is electricity and air. So the downsides to a plasma are, I would say, the price point. It is an expensive tool. I did buy this one brand new. It's one of the only tools I have that's brand new. I believe it's the biggest plasma that you can get that's single phase, so that's why I ended up going with this one. It is the PowerMax 85, and I believe the price tag on it was $4,500. So it is expensive, but it is worth the money. And if you're going to get a plasma, personally, I would recommend Hypertherm. I've used them the whole time I've been fabricating, and they just hold up. They're solely built for plasma work. Their bread and butter is plasmas. I think that's all they do. The only time I've ever seen one quit working was when it got burned in fire. One of the other downsides that you get with a plasma is if you don't have an air dryer on your air system, you can go through the consumables pretty fast. And the moisture doesn't mix well with the consumables. And if you guys have never seen the consumables, you have, this is a cutting tip here, and then you have an electrode. This is your electrode, and then you have a nozzle. And you can see the nozzle on this one is starting to get gummed up. Hopefully you can see that. But you burn through them a lot quicker if you don't have an air dryer on your system. And I actually don't have an air dryer on my system. I have a filter on mine and a separator, but I don't have a dryer. I do plan on getting a dryer, but I probably won't get a dryer until I get a screw compressor. Eventually I'd like to get a screw compressor because they produce air way faster and you don't have to worry about them keeping up. But they are more expensive. This right here is how you change your settings, this little knob here. And I know that if you have it set up on a plasma table, there's a certain setting you want to put this on. If you want it in gouge, that's this one at the bottom. And if you're just doing regular cutting, you want to put it on that second notch. This is an 85 amp machine. It did come with everything but the plug. Mine did come with the stinger. That right there has been, it's been a lifesaver for me, and it makes it so I'm able to do jobs like this. Honestly, if I didn't have this, I wouldn't have been able to do this job. I could have done it with a track burner, but I don't have a track burner. Some of you are probably thinking, well, you could have done it with an oxyacetylene torch, and I could, but again, you're putting way more heat into it with a torch because you have to be slower. I'm eventually going to get a burn table, And I look forward to that day, because something like this, I'll just throw a full sheet on the table and I'll draft it up, hit cut, and it just saves a lot of time and it gives you a cleaner edge. But again, it's all how expensive tools can you afford, and at this point in my career I can't afford it. So but we're getting there, we're making headway. So that right there definitely made the super cool tool list. I would say if you can afford it, if you're looking to do fabrication, there is the Power Max 45, I believe is their smallest one. It is more affordable. I believe they go down in $1,000 increments. So I think that one might be $2,000 or $2,500, somewhere in there. But it's a heck of a tool. If you can get one, I would say go for it. You won't regret it. It's going to make you a better fabricator. It's going to save you time and money. So that's going to be today's super cool tool. Let's get back to the video. Fire in the hole. Okay, so I feel like the cut turned out pretty good. Once I hit that with the grinder, it's going to look just fine. These marks here actually don't look too bad. I've got to roll it now. The only thing I'm worried about when I roll it is I don't want it to split this and start bending it. I think with the sides of the tube still intact, it should be fine. And I'm actually going to tip it up this way and just try to let it down easy. So let's see what happens. If I feel like it's starting to tweak it, then I'm going to back off and I'm going to probably tack a piece of plate across it just so I can roll it over, but we'll see what happens. Okay, so we did get that flipped okay. I went ahead and put some 4x4s underneath it because there's all those little couplers. Now I'm going to transfer my lines up these tubes. Looks like there's a scribe mark here from whoever fabricated the skid. So I'm going to transfer the lines up, go ahead and start cutting them. Okay, so here's what's going down. We did get it cut in half. They are separated. The next step is going to be to scarf these welds off. So there's 6 of them. I think what I'm going to do is get my gouging tip on my plasma. Go ahead and gouge those out. There's lots of different ways you could do this. You could use a scarf and tip on a oxyacetylene torch. You could use a gouging tip on your plasma. You could use carbon arc. I don't have my carbon arc set up yet, so that's not going to be an option for me. But the plasma does a really good job, and it's actually pretty slick. It's nice because you don't burn up oxy and acetylene. So I think I'm going to go with the plasma on this one. So I'm going to get that all set up, and then we'll go to that point. Alright, so obviously the trick here is to not touch the parent metal and just peel the weld out of there. We've got to reuse both the base metal and the top metal. So we got to reuse the fork pocket, and then the base metal underneath. We don't want to have big old gouges. So what we're going to do is we're just going to try to peel that weld out of it. I got my gouging tip in. If you've never seen one, these are pretty sweet. The tip looks a little bit different. It's shaped a little bit different so you can get in there and peel the weld out. I always like to tip it so that I'm shooting the metal out away from me, and I kind of like to push the torch. We're going to get set up here, and I'm going to see how it goes on this first one. Okay, so you can see there, I didn't end up gouging the base metal. I did have to take a little bit off the corner of the fork pocket, but that doesn't matter because once I weld that up, you're never going to see it anyway. And I don't know if you guys could hear it on the film. Once I hit the depth where it let go, you could hear the tube pop. And so I knew it was broke free. And if you look real close, you can see there is a crack right there. And you can see as you're peeling it out where the line is. So you just want to kind of find that line and just stay right above it. So I think that's going to work. We're going to go ahead and get these other, so 10 left to go. We're going to go ahead and get them knocked out. Okay, we got these all scarfed off. Gotta clean that up with the grinder. So once we get them welded back on, you'll never see that. This turned out really well. You can see I was able to do that without peeling any of the base material off. So I gotta hit that with a grinder, clean those up. The only one that did go a little deep was this one here, and where it's right on the corner, I'm just gonna gouge that out, run another weld over the top of it, and you'll never know. This one here, same thing. So, pretty happy with how the plasma cutter did on that. It was quick. So now I just got to hit them with a grinder, clean them up, knock the old weld off, and then tomorrow I'll be picking up the tube because I've got to put one more pocket on each of these. So basically what they did is they took the skid, split it, and they're going to use it for 2 skids because this one was too big. And what they're using it for is it's a big skid that they load lithium batteries on, and then they put the batteries on this. It's got rollers on it. That's what sits on these little things. They roll the batteries across this skid into a big battery bank. Anyway, we're gonna go ahead and get these cleaned up now, see if we can't get it knocked out before it's time for dinner. Alright, so here's what we got. Got the welds all cleaned up. I got them stacked on top of each other, and I think what I'm going to do is just get one of them done tonight. I'll just use the other pocket, lay it out on this one, and then I'll have one completely done. Then tomorrow I'll go and pick up some tube. So anyway, I'm going to try to get this one knocked out. I've got it laid out. I want 24 inches on center, so that's what I'm going to go with. I'm going to go ahead and see if I can't get it welded out. Alright guys, we got the first skid complete. She's all modified. So one down. Hopefully I can get the tube tomorrow and finish up the second one, and then we'll be hauling these back up to the customer. So I think that's going to be it for tonight. I'm going to go in and get some dinner, get some shut-eye. We'll see you guys back here tomorrow. Come on, let's go out here. Alright guys, we're back at it tonight. We got the inspector out here with us. How'd we do? Is that a pass? Come on. So we're gonna get this tube unloaded. See if we can't get it in there and get it cut up. Let's do it. Show you what passion is like. Come on. Get up here. Okay, so we got our tube cut, and we're going to go ahead and lay this out. 24-inch centers for our fork pockets. So usually what I'll do, take my measurement, so it's 34, and then I minus what my centers are, which is 24. So that leaves us 10 inches. So we're 5 inches off each side for center, and this is 6-inch tube. So if I go to 5 inches and then minus 3, I know I'm 2 inches off either end. So that makes it really easy. So we'll mark our 2 inches off the end. And I'm going to mark it on both ends. Then we'll get these set up, clamped down, tacked up. Alright guys, got this one all finished up, welded out. So all that's left to do, I'm going to blow this out with the air, get all the crud out of there, and then that's going to wrap these ones up. So okay, so I'm going to go ahead and flip that over. I do still have to hit this edge here where we cut it in half. I got to hit that with a grinder, clean it up a little bit. So we'll go to that point. Alright guys, that's going to wrap this one up. I'm going to go out and strap those down, get them ready to haul back to the customer in the morning. So I appreciate you guys watching. Remember to like, subscribe, and share. Make sure you hit the bell if you want to be notified for when we come out with a new video. And we'll see you on the next one.